welcome to MLH Media Uncensored, the first ever episode here today. I'm really excited for you guys to be able to get to witness this new platform and get to grow with me all here today. Take this as the first day of many possible episodes of this new platform, a new program. Many of you may be asking why I decided to go ahead and go forward with this new program, and we will be answering a little bit of that, and we'll be answering a little bit of what I had going on these past couple of weeks and why there may not have been some videos and stuff like that. Wanted to go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a synopsis before we headed into the videos and before we headed into those interviews here today. So let's go ahead and kick it off first with there's some audio issues with the interviews. My mic is still working in them, but sadly is not the usual Yeti stereo mic that I use for the interviews. So the audio may not be the crispest quality, but you still are able to hear me and still able to go ahead and watch those two interviews. I very highly recommend that you do tune in to those as well. Demetri and Bedtime MMA have a lot of good things to say, and very interested to see where not only Demetri looks to go on December 14th, possibly move to 2-0. in his own professional MMA career, but then you also have Bedtime, who is an MMA YouTuber, has over 50,000 subscribers, that may make his own amateur MMA debut, apologies, there in the coming months or possibly a year here. So we will look to see where that all goes, and you will hear a little bit more about those men in the coming minutes. But let's start it off with 559 Fights 108 happening down over there at the Visalia Convention Center this past weekend. Yours truly was there to break down all the action on commentary live on Zine.com and MyTV53. A great card, had 12 fights on there, and let me just tell you, that undercard had the crowd roaring. I mean, you had Oscar Pacheco getting the finish in the first round, and then you had Jonathan Rigby earning that second round sub with the rear naked choke. That was a killer comeback in that fight as well. TKO from Mark Martin within the first 20 seconds or so in his fight. So just overall, a lot of finishing prowess and a lot of power shown on display from all of these fighters over there for 559 Fights. And then you even had Jihad Swule, who's a U.S. Army veteran over there training with the Ochoa Combat Academy in Lemoore, California, able to notch his first win against Grant Kelm over there out of Victory MMA, earning the first round TKO in a hard-fought bout over there. Let me just tell you, Grant Kelm was bringing it to Jihad early in the first. Jihad able to go ahead and settle down, is able to go ahead and get that finish with the time expiring on the clock. Definitely a lot of fights to look to in the next coming months as well over there at 559 Fights. 559 Fights 109 coming down October 25th, 2024, Visalia Convention Center. In that main event, officially confirmed as of this last weekend, Ramon Cornejo, Isaiah Walls going at it in the main event for that Camo and 559 Fights Featherweight Championship. Co-main event, you got George Burgos and Paul Furr going at it for that Flyweight Championship in the 559 Fights organization. Definitely a lot of things to look forward to. You also have Joshua Simpson making his promotional return to the 559 Fight. Should be a very fun matchup between him and Adrian Reyes, going down there at 140 pounds. And got Chris Chapa making his return to welterweight as well. Got a lot of guys on this card that possibly will look to have some big 2025s. I always feel like the back ends of these years, especially in the amateur, really can prove to provide a lot of good omens for you in the beginning of the year, in that 2025 year. And you already have Johnny Reyes, another one of those guys, just got a win this past month, already signed the contract for October 25th, going to be taking on the likes of Dean Furr, the brother of Paul Furr, over there for 559 Fights 109 to open up that main card. And I've been super impressed with all the talent that has been coming through 559 Fights and in the Central Valley in this past year. It's just been absolutely amazing to be part of not only that organization, but to see A1 Combat come through and to be able to bring their talents through and to be able to see some of those guys jump from 559 to A1 Combat. I mean, if you've obviously gotten to see the likes of Chris Paez, the Blake DeCourcys of the world, the Martin Sandovals, but now possibly looking to see a couple more of those guys make their way into that realm. I mean, you had Julio Isaac Ladave getting the win over against Johnny Diaz. I think he's, if not ready for that professional debut, he's right at that line to where he maybe needs one more and he can get into that professional ranks and really make some noise. Francisco Hurtado and Fabian Maldonado are also two guys that I wouldn't doubt seeing that jump to the professional level here pretty soon. But just a whole lot of skill put on display on Saturday night over there at the Visalia Convention Center. If you are not busy, October 25th on that Friday, make sure you buy tickets and go ahead and attend for that event. But commentary over there was a great experience as always, commentating alongside Alexis Molina. It was a great night over there. I mean, I always am a fan of not only being able to commentate the fights, but also having guys come up to me after and having guys that I've commentated their fights before. And that's truly where I get that verification if I'm doing everything okay. Because at the end of the day, I truly, when I'm doing it, in that moment, I feel like I'm messing up so bad. I feel like, oh my God, like I'm talking about these guys and they're going to hate watching it back. It's very hard to talk about somebody else getting into a cage and putting their all into something and fighting. It's just, it's a different type of dynamic. It's not like any other sport. And I will go to the grave saying that. And when I say it's not like any other sport, because critiquing somebody else when they're moments away from getting their lights put out or when they're moments away from possibly falling victim to a submission, it just completely changes the dynamic and completely changes the way that I feel a lot of these guys and a lot of their families are able to interpret and listen to these broadcasts, which as someone that now has a brother that fights, I 100% get it. I definitely feel where a lot of these people are coming from. So I just wanted to go ahead and say I appreciate everybody that was tuning in over there for 559 Fights 108 on zine.com, or if you were watching live from Bakersfield all the way over to Madera, I believe you can watch on My TV 53 on your local TV stations. Comcast and DirecTV may have different channel numbers, so I would just go ahead and double verify that by looking up My TV 53 broadcast channel numbers for your respective cable provider. On Sunday, then headed over to that open mat over there at Vitruvian. Always a good time over there with my guys Mariano Aldama and Steve Ramirez. Really always appreciate their hospitality. And of course, Mark De La Cruz, the head of helm over there at Vitruvian, always playing on a great open mat over there. And it's always a fun time when I'm over there at that gym, not only because they got that going on, but we had some butt ball going on, which is not really something that you see at a lot of gyms, and a lot of gyms encourage like jiu-jitsu games and stuff like that. But let me just tell you guys, if I had the chance to go professional in butt ball, there's a possibility. Like jiu-jitsu, maybe not. You know, I'm not the best jiu-jitsu practitioner, but being able to mix the movement of the ball in there, I don't know, something about it to where I'm able to just move efficiently, and I feel like Sonic the Hedgehog when I'm out there, man, just rolling. Maybe call me Limp Bizkit. I don't know, but I really do enjoy that classic butt ball. I don't know. Maybe you have to see myself entering into that butt ball league that my guy Yano the Beast on Instagram. Make sure you guys are following him. He was talking about possibly opening up a little bit of a league to go ahead and embark into that. So that would be pretty interesting to see butt ball go down and get its own league. But in terms of where you guys were possibly asking me where I've been at, I know that I've had a lot of people asking me, you know, you haven't been going to as many events, you haven't been, you know, doing commentary for this, so on and so forth. So let me just give you a little bit of an explanation of how my timeline works for events and things like that. So I traditionally do the commentary work for A1 for 559 Fights, post-fight interviews for A1 Combat. So whenever they have events, those dates I'm usually booked up. But other than that, I don't have any other organizations I'm presently doing work for at the moment. So that means that on those weekends, I usually do have that time off to either A, try and get some interviews in, or B, go ahead and freelance the event and go ahead and attend on my own dollar and see what I can do. Now, I was able to do that with LFA as they were over there in the Santa Cruz area on the 13th of September. That was a great show as well. I had a great time over there. Really appreciate the hospitality from Mark Evans, the LFA team, and all those guys over there. But it can be tough a little bit in terms of being able to schedule down interviews and everything, especially when you're trying to move some of your stuff between San Luis Obispo and from where I'm originally from, more near the Central Valley of California. So I really do appreciate everybody for being so patient in terms of waiting for the video output. Just know that it does take a little bit of time, especially with the school schedule that I'm balancing. Currently finishing up my 5th year over here at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, getting my degree in journalism, so that possibly you may be seeing your boy making some pretty big moves in this next coming month. And that was another big reason for the kind of platform change and for me wanting to feel like I needed to get out of my shell a little bit. I feel oftentimes, especially as an interviewer, as a journalist, you get put into this, you can't really express your opinion. And it's not you can't express your opinion, but you just feel like, fuck, if I say this certain thing, or if I say this, X, Y, and Z is going to look at me a certain way, or this is not journalistically acceptable, or it's not deemed okay. And at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem that we have had in society in terms of journalism is we've lost that truth factor. And I feel the honesty factor is why half of you guys are here. I think that's why a lot of you guys have liked the interviews and have liked the style of my videos, is because I don't really sugarcoat shit. I keep it real and I keep it respectable. And I think that's something that, although we do have the realism in many assets of the MMA game, you have a lot of fans that are super real and almost to the point where it's a little bit brutally honest. But I just feel that a new platform was needed to where I could not only talk to fighters, because fighters are the lifeline of this. Without them, I don't have a job. Without them, I don't have a sport to love. But there's just so many more things that go into making an MMA event work, that I don't feel fans really see unless you're there at an event, or unless you're constantly attending, or someone that works within the mixed martial arts sphere. So that was really why I wanted to be able to build this platform, be able to build a show, be able to build a space where I can have guys on, and where I can have different members of the mixed martial arts community on, where I can have cut men and cut women, and just have a community-based program. And that really was what it's for me, is I feel like MMA has lost its community factor, and I feel we're all so focused on trying to build a platform up, or we're trying to focus on building X, Y, and Z up, instead of trying to focus on building together as a community. And I feel that's something that other sports, they have that down. You don't see that happen in NFL, where they're so crucial down on each other. Or you don't see that happen in the MLB, where they're so hating on each other in terms of content creation and what another party has going on in terms of, YouTube space or commentary or journalism. I feel like in MMA, journalism wise, or even in terms of personality, there's just so much hostility, and I kind of wanted to get away from that. And I wanted to be able to take a platform to be able to get to speak to people, and to where people don't feel like they have to, oh man, I can't say this because then this guy's going to get mad at me. I can't say this because then this guy's going to get mad at me. I really want to be able to build this program to where it's for us, by us. And I know that's corny, I know that's cheesy, but without any of you guys, I truly wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be where I am right now. I wouldn't be subscribing to a StreamYard service to be filming this video. It's all because of you. Like, you guys are the lifeline of this, and just as much as the fighters are the lifeline to my community, the fans are a lifeline to what makes MLH media run and work. So I truly want to say thank you. I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. A kid that was sleeping on floors while growing up, to now being able to commentate some fighters that I've gotten the pleasure of working with, and some coaches that I've been able to speak to. It's truly been an honor, truly been a pleasure. And I don't know what else I could say but thank you. And I could only do my job in servicing the MMA community and trying to grow us and grow the sport as big as possible moving forward. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into our interview segment for today. Got a couple of great guests in Demetri Georgiades, the 1-0 MMA prospect of South African and Cyprus descent, over there out of Crispin BJJ, looking to talk to us before his matchup against Dupree Stewart over there on the Fight Night at the Tech CU Arena in San Jose, California. Make sure, if you have not purchased your tickets yet, you go ahead and purchase those at techcuarena.com. Go ahead and purchase those underneath the name for either Dupree or for Demetrius. Of course, we prefer if you pick up Demetrius, especially with the interview now that we got going on. But would definitely appreciate any support that you guys can go ahead and show over his way, so he can know that the fans of the MLH media, the MLH media support, and they want to show support and they want to show love, man. So I really appreciate any support you guys can go ahead and show Demetrius on his upcoming bout over there on December 14th. But also, we have Bedtime MMA, a very, very prominent figurehead in the MMA YouTube space, and very excited to get to have him on as the first ever guest that's truly outside of the fighting sphere, and really getting to speak to him about not only how MMA is viewed in the land down under in Australia and some of the differences I feel like America and Australia has, because especially with his fan base, a very, very heavy American influence, but also wanted to get to speak to him about some of Australia's MMA rising stars and just overall how he got started with everything over there, because his channel has just exponentially grown. And if you have not been keeping up with him, make sure you subscribe to him as well at Bedtime MMA on YouTube. But without further ado, before I talk you guys' ear off and before you guys are all clicking off on here and going into the next video, here is Bedtime MMA Demetri Georgiades, episode 1 of MLH Uncensored.
Michael Hernandez here, MLH episode 1 of Uncensored MLH. And man, I'm just super excited to get to talk to this next guest, Demetri Georgiades, over there out of the, I would say East Bay, man, San Ramon, California, but you say San Francisco now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I always say San Francisco just because it's kind of, I feel like I like to represent the whole San Francisco on the grander scale of things. You know what I mean? Like the whole NorCal to me. I like to represent. I kind of growing up here. I moved from Chicago in like 6th grade, so I kind of grew up going through the city, going to Oakland, Berkeley. I didn't really spend a lot of time out here, so I feel like when I go out and I want to fight, I want to represent the whole Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? Not just this little part of the Tri Valley, in my opinion.
Yeah, and can you talk about that? I feel moving at that age is such a pivotal time because you're barely starting to learn, social skills. You're barely getting into probably kindergarten, 1st grade. Can you talk about that move to the Bay Area? Because it's probably one of the most diverse areas in the world. And you're going over there from Chicago, another pretty diverse area. How was the move for you, and how has it been just acclimating to San Francisco growing up?
Honestly, at the time, it was one of the hardest moves just because, you leave all your friends, you leave all the connections you kind of have, back there, and then coming here where you don't know anybody, especially being at like 10 years old, 11 years old, it definitely was a hard thing to cope with at the time. It fucked with my my mental health, messed with my childhood kind of growing up. But in the grand scheme of things, it was like the best thing for me because one, it is diverse there, but at the same time, not the most diverse. It's a Midwest, you know what I mean? There's a specific type of people that live there. And if you're not that type of person, you don't really fit in there too much. So even though I had friends there, I didn't really ever feel at home there. And looking back at the Bay Area now, like the connections that I have here, like the way I am, the way the Bay is, this is so much more my home than that ever was. So that, and as well as, kind of growing up with that struggle of like, having to find new people, kind of having to find my roots, I think actually helped me figure out at a young age, like who I was and what I wanted to do. I knew from a young age I wanted to fight, but it's because you move, you don't have much friends. So you kind of got to figure out like, all right, well, who am I? And who do I want to be when now in this new state where no one really knows me?
So many gyms over there in the Bay Area. How did you decide to come upon Crispin BJJ? And you have done, wonders over there. Now brown belt in jiu-jitsu. You're now 1-0 in your professional MMA career. And that didn't come, though, without some trial and error. You went 2-2 in the amateur career, showed that, you wanted to show, I feel, a diversity in your game. You really went out there and just let it all hang loose. Can you talk about that mixed martial arts career developing over there at Crispin BJJ and just overall being in the Bay Area? Because I feel I talked about it with Gilbert Melendez before he did that show over there at TechCU Arena, but it's slowly becoming one of the hubs of mixed martial arts once again.
Oh, for sure. It's funny. So when actually I first moved here, I started doing Muay Thai at a gym called Harding. I think it was just called Harding Taekwondo. And then it was in San Ramon. And then John Santos, who runs Team Santos, when he kind of I first started running his team, he actually was out of there. I remember Dan Black when he first started training with like Xavier Vigny and some of those guys. At one point, he was coming over there and he kind of coached us a little bit. So it was actually super cool, kind of seeing like the OGs in the game there. And then eventually, I kind of just realized at a young age, like my parents wouldn't let me fight when I was young. They wouldn't let me do smokers. They wouldn't let me do any amateurs. So I just kind of stuck to wrestling because I knew I didn't really need their approval. I could kind of just do it through the school. And then I went to ASU, came back, and I actually had kind of given up on my dream of fighting. Like I just couldn't find a gym where I felt like a coach cared enough about me that they weren't just kind of, I wasn't wasting my time. You know what I mean? And so I was actually working at a sandwich shop and Crispin came in.
What
He was
sandwich
like,
shop?
damn, bro. Jimmy John's.
Jimmy
Jimmy
John's.
John's.
Hey, freaky fast delivery and freaky fast kicks, freaky fast hands, man.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. That was the first time me being freaky fast. But you know, he came in there and he was like, hey man, you hella big. You ever thought about fighting? And I was like, dude, that's all I've ever wanted to do. And he was like, come to my gym. So I came to his gym and you know, he gave me a chance, put me on his fight team. And I mean, he really did take a chance on me. And then shortly, like after I started training there, he was like, you know, man, what exactly do you want to do? Like besides fighting? And I thought, I was like, you know, I want to fight, you know, maybe one day have my own fighters, you know, have my own gym and stuff. And he brought me on, he offered me a job there, you know, told me he would show me the ropes, he showed me how to teach classes. And I mean, the rest has been history. So honestly, I owe it all to him because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have gone back into fighting. You know, I wouldn't be teaching right now. I wouldn't have gotten where I am. But he definitely put a lot of time in me because I mean, during the pandemic, I mean, we weren't allowed to train, but there were so many times that it was like, you know, he would call me up and it would be me, him, and like Jeremiah, you know, and it was just like, all right, I'm the body there, but he would just bring me along just so I could learn stuff, just so I could kind of be there, just so I could kind of absorb, you know, all the information and stuff. And so that helped my growth exponentially, you know, just kind of being around these two, you know, Crispin's a 5th-degree black belt now, 6th-degree, Germ's a 3rd-degree. And being able to be around them and kind of just absorb all that game and all that knowledge, and you know, especially early on in my like training was huge. And that definitely kind of gave me the confidence when I did start fighting to kind of go out there and just test different styles, you know, test myself against a striker, against a grappler, against all different styles, especially against guys that are tough. Because sometimes in the amateur level, you see guys that, you know, they want to pad their record, which I get. You know, you want to look good, especially when you go into the pros. You know, you want to get some sponsorship deals. But at the end of the day, you're gonna fight somebody who's tough. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna fight somebody who hasn't had an easy time coming up, right? And if first time you're facing them is in the pro levels, that's not a good look. You know, I would rather face them in my amateurs, knowing that you know I win, lose, draw, whatever happens. Once I go pro, my record resets. Now the experience doesn't, but the record does. So if I take that loss, then I would much rather have done it then than at the pro levels. You know, so it gives me a lot more confidence going into the fights now, knowing that some of these guys, yeah, their records at amateur may be better than I was, but a lot of these guys are not, you know, taking fights that are necessarily pushing them or testing them or, you know, putting them out there to even do anything good. It's just pick me fights almost.
No, and that's what I was kind of referencing a little bit towards as well, because I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I feel there's a lot of guys in this amateur game, and not just only in California, but in multiple states, where they feel that they want to build themselves before, but they also then they hit the pro level and they face another guy that was facing like much like yourself, facing a bunch of killers, and then they're almost it's a culture shock almost, and they
Yeah.
don't know what to do with it.
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's a book called, I think, The Fighter's Heart or The Fighter's Mind. It's one of the two. And I read it a long time ago. One of the best lessons that you kind of learn in there is that there's people that get stuff from talent and people that get stuff from hard work. And the lesson from that is just like, if you get it from talent or you're getting it from like, you know, the pick me fights, then when you eventually do fall, it's so much harder to build yourself up because you just had an easy time coming up. Whereas the guys that have struggled, you know, every step of the way, you know, they may have had a hard fight here, you know, a hard fight there, and it wasn't the perfect, you know, journey. Those are the dudes that when they do get knocked down, there's nothing to get back up because we've done it before. You know, at the end of the day, I could lose a fight, and yeah, it sucks, you know, but I've lost fights before. I've lost things before, so to lose a fight and get back up is not the worst to me. You know, it's not the most detrimental thing to me for my mental at this point, but I know that there are a lot of guys who haven't tasted that. And so when they eventually do, I hope for them that they have a good, you know, group around them to kind of help them because it sucks when you first taste it, especially doing the sport that we do where, you know, you have hundreds of eyes on you, if not thousands of eyes on you. And a lot of them are your friends and fans and family. It's like the feeling of loss is a lot more than if you were on a team sport where you have, 6 other guys, 7 other guys, 8 other guys to be able to kind of share in that loss with and sharing that kind of sorrow with, or sharing the blame with even.
Oh, no, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I feel the pressures of MMA are just it's like I compare it a lot to track and field, and these athletes competing in the Olympics and they're going in the 100 meters. That pressure is all on them, although they're working with the coaches in the lead up. A lot of the time, the coaches they're not feeling too much guilt. The coach does whatever they can to get their athletes to that stage. It's more on the athlete at that point. And I love that you said the fighter of the life. I'm gonna need a recommendation on that book.
No, it's a great book, and I think that any sport that's and I don't want to say not a team sport, because even like MMA, right? We may go out there and fight by ourselves, but I try to tell the guys all the time, it's not a solo sport, because you have a whole team behind you. You have your sparring partners, you have your coach, you have your people that are helping you recover, people helping you with your mental. All those people, your boxing coach, your whatever it is, that's all team. They may not go out there with you, but that's still your team. So, but I do think that any sport where when you're competing, it is a solo competition, whether it be track and field, gymnastics, combat sports. I think that definitely the weight on your mental can be a lot more, just because it's just you out there, and sometimes it can feel very lonely, because a lot of the times people are there you'll see people are there at the highest and not many people are there at the lowest, but the more you're at the low, the more you start to realize which people are always going to be there. And then when you get to the highest, it's cool, it's great, but it's not as much of a crazy thing once those people start to kind of fade away, because which ones will always be there. So that's why I say some of these guys, I think at the amateur level, they just need to start going out there and just fighting and, testing themselves against guys that are good, testing themselves against guys that are better than them, in certain aspects, because eventually you're going to have to. And you don't have to do it when you have hundreds of thousands of eyes on you. I'd rather do it when I got, maybe 1,000 eyes on me.
Wise words there from Mr. Lanky MMA, and I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that. If I could not if I could put the 100 emoji over that 15 million times, I definitely would. But just to speak a little bit more about this fighting career of yours, recently coming off of your professional debut victory over there against Jesse Lazama, had a first-round knockout, and a knockout that blew the roof off the place. I believe you connected just 1-2, and that 2 landed with some precision. Can you guide us through what you were seeing in there? And I know we talked a little bit about it after, but even getting to watch the fight post, when you're getting to look over some of the tape, how did you feel your performance was?
I mean, my performance, I think, was just game plan. We watch tape. My coach Crispin, when it comes to the martial arts game, he's a genius, and so he knows the amount of tips and tricks that he can give me is insane. And the whole camp leading up to that, we knew Jesse's a left-handed guy, so his right hand's gonna be forward, which means if I can stay outside of his foot, my right hand can go straight down the middle. And if I can double it up, the first one may not land, but the second one will definitely land. And so that was the game plan the whole time. As well as I think I was even telling you, when me and Jesse fought as amateurs, I don't know what it was. I had this whole vision in my mind that I was going to land a right hand on him, and that was going to be the fight. And it never happened. We had a heavy grappling fight, and we fought as amateurs, and it was back and forth, and it didn't happen. But it was just such a weird thing because of how much I felt it. And then when they rebooked this fight, the feeling came straight back up. And so I just kept feeling it. And then when we were in the locker room, about to walk out, I told my coach, I said, it's going to happen. I'm telling you, right hand straight down the middle. And it's actually funny. I said, I'm calling it 2 minutes in the first round. And it was like 2 minutes and 24 seconds. But sometimes you just feel something. So I think that one I just manifested, and it just was game plan. And we practiced it over and over and over again. I feel bad for my boxing coach, Will, because his arm's probably exhausted from how much I've cracked him with the right hand.
His shoulders a little less misaligned,
Oh no, for sure. He's all a little bit wonky like this. No.
No, man, and it was definitely a hell of a performance. Now you're facing off against Priest Stewart over there, a opponent you were previously going to face over there when Bellator came into town for California. I believe they were over there at the SAP Center in San Jose, but now looking to possibly take him on over there, Fight Night Tech CU Arena. How are you feeling about the matchup, and how are you feeling about just overall where this could put you in that Fight Night fight night promotion? Because you're 1-0 there now, 2-0. I mean, what do you feel this win does for your career?
Yeah, it puts me 2-0, and I think that it in terms of the opportunity for the fight night, and Mr. Coker and Mr. Melendez, I think that it's a huge opportunity, and I think that obviously a win would project me great in their eyes. I also think that being against a guy like Dupree is also great, because you look at Dupree, he was 5-0 as an amateur, and it's not like he was just taking scrub fights either. It's not like he's a bum himself. So it's like I said, I don't take easy fights because fortune favors the brave. But if you're not fighting the best, you're not going to get the best. So I think that definitely fighting him, it's a risk. Definitely, it's a good fighter, but I think that the opportunity that it presents is huge. I think that a win over him could definitely give me a good opportunity to, if they decide at any point in time that they want to make, that 170, welterweight championship belt for fight night at the Tech. I definitely think if a win over Dupree could put my name in that conversation, because man, I ain't in the sport just for cashing checks. I want some gold around my waist, So if they're gonna make a belt, I want to be in that conversation. So I think a win over Dupree, especially a good decisive win, I think could definitely put my name in that conversation when and if they finally do decide to do that.
No, and like how you said, Dupree Stewart, definitely one of the most impressive prospects, and that 1-0 was very deceiving because, like how you said, 5-0 in his amateur career, but he was taking on a lot of guys that have gone on to go to a professional career, and then getting a win to start off his pro career. Now 1-0 for both you gentlemen, heading into this matchup prior to what would have been a debuting professional matchup over there at Bellator. So I feel it only adds to the skill level of both you gentlemen. But speaking a little bit more about you personally, my man, because let me just say, fans, if you do not know, Demetri has some of the best music taste out of any of the fighters that follow right now. Top 5 Chief Keef songs. I need them. Let me know. What are they?
My top 5 Chief Keef. I honestly can't do top 5 Chief Keef. I grew up in Chicago, so that's like asking me to choose like any of his. You know what I mean? Like I remember when he first started coming out, I was probably like a freshman, maybe a sophomore in high school, and it was like I was so juiced. I was like, hell yeah, the Chicago drill rap blowing up, especially Chief Keef, because when growing up in Chicago, like we had heard some of his music, some of his underground stuff, like I'm blanking on the names now, but just some stuff like it's a really earlier stuff before even like Love Sosa, before any of that stuff. And so when he blew up, that was huge. I honestly can't name my top 5 because that's like, yeah, I can't. But I will tell you this:
It's like
Finetto
asking to pick your
is
favorite
my
dog or your
number
favorite
one.
child.
Exactly, 100%. Like, which is my favorite family member? I just can't. But Finetto is my number one. Like, that's like my one that'll always get me hyped up and will get me like ready to just fight somebody or get me to ready to just party, whatever it is. But yeah, man, how did you get into Chief Keef? Because I mean, how old are you, man? You're like what?
Funny enough, so the Chief Keef origin stories on me. I was in 7th grade and I was looking through Apple Music in the top chart and I seen Love Sosa and I was like, oh, what's the song? Listen to it and then I was like, oh, okay, cool, and I'm one of those guys where if I like one of your songs, I'll listen to multiple of them, try and get a feel for you. And after that, I was just like, Chief Keef, like something about his music and the way it was running, man. But I'd say for my favorite, I gotta go Glow Gang Mafia. It's a pretty like hard hitting song in the car. It's always a banger. If not, Glow Gang Mafia, a little bit of the newer catalog, See Through off of I forgot, I think it's Ford War, that album.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. So definitely love Chief Keef. Huge fan of his music as well. So, and then he's over there in Los Angeles now. Is there ever a chance you're going to see him walking you out to one of your fights?
Man, I don't know how he's out in LA, man. Personally speaking, if my net worth was over $1 million, you wouldn't see me step foot in LA, man. With how dangerous that city is. Like, I love LA. I got all love for
Crazy.
LA. It's just like with the amount of murders and robberies happening, look at all the artists that have died there in the past like 5-6 years. I'm like, as an artist, I don't know how. All props to them because I wouldn't be able to do it. How about have a house in the hills where no one would see me, no one would be able to come in. So all the power to them. But yeah, man, that'd be cool getting walk me out to a fight. Maybe I gotta talk to Dana for give me the contender series so I can get a contract so I can get you to walk me out to one of your pay per views, man. That's the goal.
That would be
50
sick.
G's, baby.
And speaking a little bit about that UFC level, actually perfectly translated into my next question. Dricus du Plessis, obviously a huge talent that has came from the likes of South Africa, and then you have Cameron Simon. There's UFC South African presence has definitely arisen. How do you feel about the development of South African MMA, and not only South African MMA, stars that are going into it? I mean, like how we said, Dricus, and just in general, the whole country of Africa, just overall, has just shown leaps and bounds in MMA growth over these years.
I mean, I love it, man. It's being South African is one of my most proud accolades that I have about myself. Like I hold it to such a high esteem because it's such a beautiful country and the people are so beautiful and the culture is so beautiful, and it's just terrible that the history and just corruption and so many different aspects have brought Africa as a whole to where it is, you know what I mean? Because there's so many different beautiful parts of it. So being able to see South Africa and even other African countries that are starting to kind of make this rise in MMA is beautiful, because as a South African, I know that mentally South Africans and anybody from the continent of Africa is one of the toughest SOBs you will ever meet. It's just, there's just no quitting us, you know what I mean? South Africa is a country of, I don't know how many people with a unemployment of like 40-50%, but it doesn't stop us. The poverty is, I don't know how high. It doesn't stop us. We just keep going. We just keep trying. The Springboks, they've shown us that no matter how bad things get, if you just keep trying, things can get better and the whole country will be behind you. So being able to see guys like Dricus, being able to see guys like Cameron, being guys like all of the guys in EFC that are fighting out there in the big promotion, it's beautiful, man. I'm loving it because it's going to keep growing, and seeing it grow there just opens the door for even other countries where, you don't have a lot of fighters coming out of because MMA doesn't maybe even seem attainable to them. But that's the beautiful thing about MMA, right? It's the same thing about boxing is you don't have to be the most athletic. You don't have to be, the richest. If you got a fighting spirit and you can throw a punch, you got a chance to be the best in the world, And I think that that's the beautiful thing about fighting, and seeing places like South Africa kind of coming up in it is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I truly do appreciate your time today, Demetri. It's been an awesome opportunity to get to speak to you and get to hear more about your MMA career, but also get to hear about a little bit of the personal life, getting to hear about the love for Chief Keef, getting to hear these little tidbits and tricks about the life of Mr. Lanky MMA. Anybody you want to thank in particular before this matchup over there on December 14th at the Texas Arena in San Jose, California against Mr. Demetri Stewart?
I mean, I just want to thank, obviously Mr. Coker, Mr. Melendez, JT, all the guys at Fight Night Tech for giving me this opportunity. Just the first opportunity as well as this one, bringing me back. I can't thank them enough for this opportunity. I want to, thank my coaches, all my training partners, my parents, for all the support that they give me. Because at the end of the day, it's, like I said, man, this ain't a solo sport. Those are the people that make this possible, and everybody that tunes in to watch us, everybody that tunes in to watch me fight, you guys make this possible. Because I could be the best fighter in the world, but if nobody wants to watch me fight, I ain't gonna be fighting. So, yeah, I gotta thank everybody else, man. But I appreciate you for all your time, man. Thanks for having me on. I enjoy talking to you, man.
It's always a pleasure to get to have fighters of your caliber on my program, man, and great, even greater pleasure when they want to come on, man. Demetri hit me up wanting to be on the program. It's always a great pleasure when I get guys wanting to hit me up and be on the program, and truly an honor to get to speak to you before this upcoming bout over there in December, my man. Best of skill to you when it comes that time over there. December 14th at the TechCU Arena, Mr. Demetri Stewart, Demetri Georgiades. Make sure you guys get your tickets when they are on sale right now. I believe they got a sale going right now on those tickets, so make sure you guys go ahead and cop those from either Demetri or for, how is that working? Are they buying the tickets directly, doing a ticket link? How are they doing the ticket sales for this event?
Yeah, so if you just go online to my Instagram, to Lanky MMA, there's a link in my bio. You can just get the tickets right through there. That's the easiest way because we don't have any physical tickets, so it's all online. So the link for the tickets is in my bio or the venue's bio as well, I believe.
You heard it here first, folks. Michael Hernandez here, MLH Media, over here in the Central Coast of California, going to be signing out Demetri Georgiades over there in the Bay Area. Thank you so much for your time today, brother.
You guys are still here. That means that you are now heading into the second interview for the day. Really had a great talk with Demetri over there. He's a great guest. As always, a pleasure to get to speak with him and his very talented MMA career. Very looking forward to what he gets to do against Demetri Stewart come December 14th. We now look to take it into our second interview for today, Mr. Bedtime MMA over there out of Australia. Just want to thank him for his time, for hopping on the platform. I know he's not really known for going and doing the face cams and doing the whole online interviewing, but I really do appreciate his time and giving some more insight to not only his fans but also to myself as someone that watches his videos. Very interesting to get to hear a little bit more about his story as well. So thank you so much to Mr. Bedtime MMA for his contribution to the first episode of MLH Uncensored. We'll see y'all here at the end.
Just honored to have this first guest on, somebody that's been killing it in the YouTube MMA scene. I think pretty soon he may be coming over there for that #1 spot for Guru, man. My guy, Bedtime MMA over there from the land down under, over there in Australia. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm going good, man. Thanks for having me, bro. It's cool to be here. It's weird to be here. It's weird to see myself right now, but it's cool to be here, man. I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to even see you doing kind of the on-camera stuff a little bit more. I know when you first started, you weren't really an on-camera guy, but now you bringing the camera in. You know, you got the McDonald's camera over from the local shoot. But
yeah, I'm actually at a McDonald's right now, bro. This curtain's covering up the playground behind me, dude. So I'm locked in, bro. I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go, bro.
When took a shower in the restrooms and everything, my man is
ready.
Man. But let's talk a little bit about your guide into MMA media and just the overall scene, because you've gotten to speak to guys like Chase Hooper, some pretty, Curtis Blades. That's kind of been one of your long running jokes on the channel of you and Curtis Blades' relationship. Can you go into really how you got into the scene? Because I kind of feel you blew up. Like, I seen you had a couple thousand subscribers, and then just eventually it was 10,000, and then now you're just on a roll.
Yeah, it happens really quickly, I feel like. I don't know. I just started making videos because, #1, I was like convinced that I was really good at predicting fights. So my first video, I just hop on, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna predict some fights. And also just, I'm the type of person that the way that I talk in my videos, like I'm ranting and I'm cracking jokes or whatever, and I do impressions. That's how I talk to my friends at the gym. Like, that's how I talk to my teammates and shit like that when I'm fighting. So I just figured I might as well do it in a video, see if I can make something out of it, because that's how I live my life anyways. I'm always ranting about UFC. I'm watching the UFC cards every weekend. I'm predicting fights, going, bro, trust me, this guy's gonna win. So I feel like it translates into my videos, and people tell me I think the reason that I blew up, or the reason people really like my videos, is because they feel like they're hanging out with their friend, or like they feel like they're talking to their mate. So I feel like that's kind of the key. I don't know.
And it definitely does feel like that. And you're a big reason of why I wanted to have you on as like one of the first guests on this platform, was because I truly believe that the MMA community is not like any other sport. It's a little bit different. It's not like NBA. It's not like NFL, to where you actually have guys that are able to train with these guys that are at the top levels. It's not oftentimes where you get to go in the gym and go shoot a couple shots with Steph Curry. You know, as much as we'd all love to do that, you're able to get to train. I mean, you're in Australia. How is it being able to kind of be in a new epicenter of? I feel like MMA is just taken over that area, but I don't know. I feel like this past couple of years, especially the rise of stars like Volk. I know your guy JDM, but just like, can you go into that a little bit? Just being over there in the country over there.
I'll tell you this, bro. Like, the regional scene over here, like even at an amateur level, I feel like everyone is just getting better. Like, I've seen I've cornered amateur fighters and seen other events. Like, I feel like but I feel like it's like this everywhere. You can see that the level is just rising of like the lowest level, like of pros or like amateurs. Like, you can just see everyone is just getting more skillful in every single area because the sport's getting more popular. And I feel like that is that's going to come through with the Australian MMA scene as well. I feel like you're already seeing new guys come in on Contender Series, like my boy Cody Haddon. That was a great fight that he had. And fucking Quillen Salkeld, he's fucking awesome. His fight was amazing, bro. I literally sent that fight to my mate and was like, bro, you need to fight like this guy. I have a mate that's built like him. I was like, bro, you got to fight like this guy, dude. So
it's absolutely like how you said. It's crazy to see the scene develop over there, because I felt like just a couple of years ago we were hearing about guys like JDM, and then you were hearing about these fighting promotions over there, and it was like, okay, well, who's really coming from that? And now you have guys like, I believe Aaron Tua, the recent signing over there, Day 1 Light Contender Series, he was recently over there from the same promotion that Cody Haddon's from, Flex Fighting Champion. What was that promotion?
He's from Hex. He's from Hex. So there's Hex, There's Beatdown, that's pretty fire. I've cornered some fighters on there. Beatdown's awesome. There's like Eternal, which is a big one. It's on Fight Pass, so it's always growing, and I think you can see that from you get like Volk, and then maybe a year or two later you get JDM, and then you'll get 3 guys now, or you'll get 5 guys signed every year now. So you can see that it's just the level is rising because you're bringing more every time.
And for you, you're someone that's looking to develop your own MMA career. And I feel like that's really what, and I know you said it feels like you're talking to your mates, but I think another thing that's truly separated you a little bit more from the pack is oftentimes these MMA YouTubers get grouped in this group of fans that don't know anything about the sport because they don't train in it, or because they're not super involved in the lifestyle. They don't know these guys to the level. But you, like how you said, you've helped corner guys when they've gone to go and have fights. You yourself are a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, I believe. You've gone had Muay Thai fights. You have your MMA experience. It's not like you don't know what you're talking about. So
dude.
Do you feel like that's kind of also what separates you a bit?
I am actually shocked that I'm the only one that trains. I'm actually shocked finding that out. Like when I started making videos, I just assumed everyone else that was making videos also like trains in it. Because I feel like, I don't know about you, but like watching MMA, I don't know how people can watch MMA and not want to like train it or like want to learn it. Because it's just
100%.
such a cool sport, dude. And I feel like my favorite part of fighting is after a fight when you just like shake hands with your opponent and you're like, yo, good fight, dude. Like it's just the coolest thing in the world to me. So yeah, it's I feel like that definitely separates me. I think sometimes I'm able to be like, well, listen, dude, it's not as simple as, oh, this guy's really good and this guy's not as good. There's a lot more like at play. Like it's not always the better guy's gonna win, or there's other factors outside of just the matchup that makes an outcome. So I feel like it definitely helps.
Hold on one second. My mind, I don't know why. Luckily, I'm in a called room, so it's not too bad. But continuing, you're stating about, like how you were speaking about, like it's crazy to see the amount of guys that go and put themselves in front of a camera and just don't want to train it at all. Like I'll give myself for an example, just because it's a little bit more of an open platform. My brother, Jaime Rodriguez, now he's going to begin his amateur career. The first thing I wanted to do when I first went to a fight with him after, I was like, dude, like, how do I do jiu-jitsu? Like, where do I go? Like, what do you go to a regular gym? Like, is there classes? Like, I had no idea about that. So it's crazy to me to see these guys go on a platform, talk this crazy talk. I mean, we've seen what some of these MMA YouTubers say, and I feel like you're a lot more on the respectful side, especially because you have that experience. But speaking about a little bit of that MMA landscape, you know, there's obviously the kind of recent debacle with Lucas Tracy, and I know that he kind of stepped down from making content, and then you got, I mean, MMA Guru, you have a kind of a plethora of guys. Is there any other YouTubers that you really watch out on the scene? And I know you said Guru is a big inspiration for you, but anybody else that you really like take some hints from and you're just like, wow, their work's really, it's promising or it's really good?
I don't like when I was like coming up, I'm gonna be real, you're probably the same. Making a certain type of content, it's really, sometimes I don't want to watch that exact type of content. Like when I'm done making it, like I'll spend my day working on a video and I'll make it and then I'll go, I just want to watch like a movie or something. I'm gonna watch some like NBA stuff. Like I love NBA. That's like I watch like Flight Reacts, and I take a lot of inspiration from Flight Reacts and like So Illuminati. If people know who he is, he's a fucking legend. And like Los Polos TV and stuff like that. But in MMA, my guys on the come up were Mexican martial arts. He's goated. He was one that I loved watching. He was a really good analyst. He was funny. He had really good predictions. Like he would just not drop a video for months, and then he just dropped this perfect video being like, Dustin Poirier is going to beat Conor McGregor, and just called it. You know what I mean? He was one that I loved. Weasel is a legend of the game. He's like in the UFC embeddeds now. He's a staple of it. But yeah, Guru,
Weasel too. Like in UFC,
dude, I know.
Like
Weasel's popping off, man. Like he's a real analyst in the game now. So Weasel's definitely one I look up to. But yeah, Guru and Lucas Tracy, like that's my Mount Rushmore in my opinion. Is like Guru, Lucas Tracy, Weasel, and Mexican martial arts, or Keon Kimura. You know, the GOAT.
I was gonna say Keon Kimura is definitely one of those.
Yeah, he's
guys
the GOAT, bro. He's the best musician out of all of them, though. Like he clears all of them. So.
And I feel the big difference too that you've kind of created with your own content is, I mean, there was guys doing the impressions, but I don't feel like anyone has really mastered that impression art like much like yourself. Has there ever been a certain one that was really tough for you to kind of grab? Or because it seems like, I'm telling you, like I'll show some of my friends or I'll show some of my buddies that follow MMA some of your impressions, and they genuinely think that they like are hearing Driscus Duplessis or something like that. You're pretty close on. So how do you feel? Like, what do you think? Kind of just, I don't know. It's crazy that you're able to pick these all up, and you do it pretty quick on the fly.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just the talent I've always had. I don't know how to explain it really. Like, it's just I just go off like a sentence that I heard them say that I think is funny, and I'll just kind of like repeat it to myself a couple of times. I'll like kick it around. I'm not ashamed to admit I do these impressions to myself while I'm driving. Like, the other day I was just driving, just doing GSP the entire time. Or like Nick Diaz is one that I do a lot. I'm like, I don't care, it's whatever. Like, it's whatever, I don't give, like, it's whatever. Like, I'll just walk around, I'll just drive around doing the impressions sometimes. So that definitely gives me time to practice them. But I don't know. It's just something that I think you have to listen to someone so much to get good at it. So even fighters that I've made videos being like, I don't like this guy, I've listened to enough interviews to where I can do their voice pretty well. So I would say it's definitely just like sentence by sentence. And you hear how they say some words. Like Drickus is right, okay, right. And then boom, then the rest comes from there,
Is there anybody though that has given you a little bit of trouble in like trying to master down their impression? Like, I know there's some guys that maybe the dialect, or because like I know you're obviously from Australia, the accent. Has there ever been a little bit of trouble with kind of gaining one guy?
I feel like Americans are really hard to get because they like I have to paint in kind of like broad strokes. Like, I think I can do like a Russian accent. I could do like South African, like a bit of a Brazilian or whatever. But Americans, it's like really hard to nail down those like from up north or they're from down south, like Bryce Mitchell. Like, it's like I have to paint in broad strokes sometimes. So it's hard to get someone that doesn't have a super like big accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%. And it could be a little bit tougher with like, I know Colby Covington, he's a huge impression.
Dude, he's a hard one, man. I can't get him, bro.
But yeah, no, like how you said, I've never really noticed that about compared to other accents. You're able to pick up maybe a little bit of an extremity in a sense. Maybe okay, this guy's got a super twang to it. But no, that's very interesting that you play on that and you're able to kind of break that down. But can you speak to fans a little bit more about I know you don't really like to talk too much about the personal life, but really what you've got going on outside of the cage and what you got going on outside of mixed martial arts YouTube? What is kind of the things that when bedtime, I know you said, you go home, watch the NBA videos, but what are some other kind of hobbies that you're into besides from just the normal MMA practice and going and filming YouTube videos?
I'm gonna be real, man. I got a pretty boring life, dude. Like, I'll train 1 to 2 times a day. I will watch like NBA. I'll watch like video essays as well. I do enjoy a nice little video essay. I like movies a lot, so that's stuff that I watch a lot of videos about. I enjoy running. I know that's an insane thing to say. I actually really enjoy running. Not when my coach makes me run, but I enjoy running in my free time. Like, that's something I like doing. But yeah, man, I got a boring fucking life, man. Like, I just make videos and I go to my job as well. I still have my normal job. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I still keep my job. So yeah, I just work, train, make videos, and go on a nice little run at the end of the day. That's pretty much it, man. I'm telling you, man. It's not this crazy lifestyle being bedtime. There's no Lambos yet.
You're not letting the Lambos game borrowed out for any of the Australian MMA stars. JDM.
No, maybe if like a baddie runs past, I'll be like, yo, bro, can you give me that Lambo back? But otherwise, like, no, man, I don't have any yet, man.
But just speaking of, I know you were talking a little bit about running, and especially over there in Australia. I mean, I feel like they kind of got one of the. I was talking with my younger brother about it. It's like, when they say it's the land down under, it really is like a whole different world. And you've been someone that's lived in both America and Australia. Can you kind of talk about some of those major differences that maybe people like, especially your audience, because I know you have a heavy American following, that maybe fans think like, oh yeah, Australia's this certain way, or oh yeah, there's this going on over there. But in all reality, it's maybe stereotypes, but more so some things about the country that people wouldn't know.
I don't think it's like a thing of they like make things up or whatever. Like, I think people just genuinely don't know. Like, I remember when I was on the wrestling team in America, like my guys would be like, yo, do you guys have school over there? Like, they don't know, man. People don't know much about like outside where they live. You know what I mean? Like, I know they're wrestlers, but hey, like people just don't know. So I would say the different, like, the differences that I saw, like from living in both, is I don't know. I just feel like all the differences that I want to talk about, they're so like surface level. Our Subway is better. Our milk is just fucking better, bro. You guys got you guys got better like serving sizes of foods. I like going to America and when I order a large, it's actually a large. I can appreciate that. People in America are super cool. Like I would say, like Americans and Australians get along pretty well because we're both the type to just be like, "Yo, what's up, man?" You know, like other countries, they're a bit standoffish sometimes. But yeah, I would say there's not. I don't know. It's not that much different. I would say Australia is pretty close to America, but I think there's just some little changes, especially from the government. I think those are the big differences. But otherwise, like I don't know, people are pretty chill. We don't have a yellow school bus to go to school. That's kind of a little bit of a difference. And you guys got the whole building, bro.
Wait, what was that? So the whole building, like you guys.
So yeah, dude, in school in America, they had everything was like in one building. It was like a movie, bro. Like I didn't know that was like a real thing, like the bus and all that stuff. And like over here, it's like going to college basically as soon as you go to high school. Like you got all these separate buildings. Yeah, you got all these separate buildings, and they're like, oh, just you got to make sure that you get to your class or whatever. Like you got to get here. So
no, a lot more independent over there for sure. But no, speaking about Australia, some things I found, because I mean, obviously meeting MMA regional guys, I know a couple of guys that are over there from the Perth or the Perths of the world or Sydney's. They've kind of told me, I feel like the biggest difference is really the humor in Australia compared to America. I feel Australians are a lot more sarcastic, and it's funny for me because I'm extremely sarcastic. But to a normal American, they'll, I feel it's just a complete switch up.
Yeah, my chat is not very fond of my sarcasm. Like they really don't like, and they get mad when they don't get it. That I can appreciate an American that is able to say, you know what, dude, we just got a different sense of humor. People like that get on that's bad sarcasm. No, it's good sarcasm if it works. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest difference. We got like that dry sense of humor. Like, you go, how's your day? Oh, my day's going fucking amazing, mate. You know what that really means. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that is actually the biggest difference, man.
Funny thing is I actually have experienced that. Like one time I did tune into a stream, and I think you did say something along the like, "Oh, great fight," and then it was not the most grand fight, and everyone was like, "Bedtime, what are you talking about?" And and that's something I have noticed. And another thing, maybe you can correct me on this as well. You guys in Australia big on coffee, like huge on coffee and quality of coffee. Because I took one of my friends over here from Australia, took him to a coffee shop, and he said it was pardon my French, I know it's MLH uncensored, but he said it was dog shit. And I've ever since that day, I've just always held Australia to be, when I go there, I better.
Yeah, now that is how it is, bro. Like every time I go to America, like I went last year, and I was like missing my coffee really bad after like 2 or 3 days. I was like, oh man, this is a real big difference. Because obviously when I lived over there, I was like a teenager, so I wasn't really drinking coffee. I wasn't like one of those guys. But now it's like a really big part of my life. I think I had 4 yesterday. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had 4 yesterday because I had 2 training sessions, like morning and afternoon. So I definitely needed that, and I had a PT as well. So I had to drop a 4 bomb on him. But yeah, there is a big difference, dude. And even like, maybe this is gonna revoke my man card here, you guys, but I fucking love iced coffee, dude. And even that, there's just night and day. Like we're just, you guys got a lot of stuff like over us, but that is not one of them.
As in the wise words of Kendrick Lamar, Australia, they telling America they not like us, basically. So, and I don't blame it, because from what I've heard, it definitely is night and day over there in terms of quality and all.
You got to go to Melbourne. You got to go to Melbourne. If you go to Melbourne, that's where it's at, man.
That's where the coffee's at?
They're the hipsters over there, bro. They've got you covered, dude.
Can you talk a little bit too? I feel like one of the and you can speak on this a little bit more than I can. I feel a lot of people in America also don't know about how Australia, basically, it's just the whole entire country damn near is like inhabitant. And it's only the coastal areas. And you've talked about it on stream a little bit, but I just find it crazy because, I mean, obviously being from America, coming inwards, and you're able to go Arkansas and Bryce Mitchell over there in Arkansas. You got guys in Nebraska. You got people over there in Colorado, kind of middle of the country. How is that kind of being in the in like the country? Is it traveling weird? I'm very interested in that, especially in terms of MMA, because I know with promotions and having to travel, like, is the traveling to get to certain spots a little bit more difficult?
Not like all the population is very like clustered together. So it's one of those things where on the coast where I am, you've got like the Gold Coast, which is like our version of like Las Vegas. You've got like Brisbane, which is like the big city and it's super industrial. Like you all that stuff is like clustered together. And I think for Australians, because of the way that our country is laid out, to us, a short drive is like an hour and a half. It's like, oh, it's only an hour and a half away. You know, like in America, I used to trip people out so bad when I'd be like, oh yeah, I live close. I live like 30 minutes away. And they'd be like, dude, that's not close. You know what I mean? So I think that trips people out sometimes. But yeah, I would say that it's not that bad. Like it's all kind of clustered together, and it's nice being nice next to the beach, like pretty easily. Like everywhere you go, you can kind of hit the beach, even if you're not trying to. But yeah, like I don't know. It's weird. Like you don't think about stuff like that when you live here. Like you don't think about it. But I think living in both maybe made me realize like, damn, okay, yeah, we do drive a lot. Like, yeah, we do go pretty far. And I think I told you one of my guys, we had to fight on this fucking farm, bro. We had to drive out to the countryside and like the cage was in this barn and like overlooking the farm. It was cool. I dig the vibe. I was kind of jealous, but yeah, man.
No, I think that's very interesting, especially to a lot of fans that are going to be watching this and they're going to be like, what the heck? Because over here, I mean, it's very rare that you're ever going to go to an MMA show that's not at a convention center, not at a hall of some sort. I mean, very
Yeah.
rarely do places even do outside events, kind of like how I was texting you about. So I think fans are going to be a little bit interested by a lot of things that you're having to say on this call, my man. But can we let's take a little bit of steps back as well? I know we were talking about some of those early influences in MMA, you know, how exactly the country is over there in Australia, but I think a lot of fans would also be really interested on the roots of Bedtime MMA, because I mean, to go ahead, start a channel, the production in terms of pumping out videos, it's not just like you go in there and you're able to just edit. Like you had to learn an editing program. Can you kind of take us through the literal baby steps of how exactly everything got in? How did you learn how to edit? How did all this stuff kind of come together? Because like how you said, I know it's a fast journey, but still it took a lot of steps on the way to get.
Yeah. Well, I've been making videos since I was like 12, man. Like I've had YouTube channels before when I was a kid. I used to play Minecraft. That was definitely that was a vibe back in the day, man. I thought I was famous. I had like 200 subs when I was a kid, and everyone at school thought I was like famous. So that was like, I did more. Yeah. So that's where I learned a lot of this stuff. Like from a kid, I always probably shouldn't admit this, but I acquired a copy of like Photoshop in Vegas as a kid, you know, completely 100% legally. I did that. Okay. But yeah, like I love Sony Vegas. I used to edit on Vegas a lot. But now I kind of use like this After Effects light kind of thing. And a lot of it is just trial and error. Like when you're figuring out stuff like this, I honestly believe you don't have to be good at editing. You don't have to be good at like high quality. Like if you go back and watch my old videos, the audio is genuinely like borderline unlistenable. It's like being in a Call of Duty lobby with somebody that won't shut up. Like that's what listening to my old videos was like. But it's really, what are people watching you for? I feel like that is the thing that I've learned the most, more than like, oh, I add this new edit to my videos and people just watch them, you know? So I would say the editing process, I've tried to just keep it just really simple, and focus more on like a better microphone. Eventually we're going to get off the McDonald's Wi-Fi and laptop. We're making baby steps here. But yeah, I would say with the editing, it's just trial and error. And I used to edit my videos more and people were kind of like, dude, we just want to listen to you. We don't need all these jump cuts and stuff. So yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just trial and error. There's never going to be a uniform, like you must get good at this and this and this and have 20 transitions in the video. Like, come on, man, you know?
And I think that advice is it's what needs to be said, because I feel oftentimes these YouTubers or content creators, or just in general, I mean, I go to university with a bunch of students and they always say, I want to do this, or I want to do this. And it's like, well, you have a phone, you have a
just do it.
computer, just do it. And it's very much, you're a perfect testament to that. And I feel that was a big reason of not only why I wanted to have you on, but a big reason to why you've had the success you have had, because I feel like like how you've stated, it's like how you're talking to your mates, you're talking to your friends, you're drinking a beer at the bar, and you ask the guy next to you, hey, you know about this fight? Bedtime MMA is going to be that guy that talks to you. But just a couple more questions for you, man. I know we've really gotten to break down the true bedtime lore and really getting to talk to, you know, really I feel like this is the first time you've ever really kind of had a full-on interview, right?
It's my first ever interview, bro. It's my first like being interviewed. Obviously, I had the Chase Hooper interview, the legendary one that everyone tells me to drop. But this is my first one where I'm answering the questions. So yeah, it's pretty crazy.
When will that one drop? Is there any timetable on that? I know you do the
I'm gonna just keep messing
well.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep messing with the chat, bro. I'm hitting them with the Drickus, mate. I didn't say I was going to release it, mate. I just said I was going to make it. So there's a big misunderstanding with that, mate, but doesn't matter. Okay, I'm not dropping it. I just decided I'm not going to. And chat still asked me about it, so that's a testament, I guess, to that, you know, to the gaslighting abilities.
That's what I was gonna say. It just goes to show of how good of a Driscus impression you really truly are doing there, right?
Mate, I'm becoming the character, bro. I'm getting in character now. You know what I mean? Fuck, man.
How about this one though? I know you may think this is a little crazy, but some comparisons wise, I don't know why, and don't take this, but Heath Ledger. Have you ever got the comparisons to Heath Ledger over there when you were in America?
No, man.
You give me that vibe, the sarcasm and the energy. Sometimes your wit. You give me a little bit of a Heath Ledger. Was that ever something that an impression that you kind of felt, or you feel like, oh, you know?
Mate, I will take that. I will take that to the bank and I'll run with it. I'm definitely going to be bringing that up to the boys. I'm basically Heath Ledger now. Right? I'm one of the greatest actors of all time, you know. But no, man, dude, I'm like brain rotted. Like everything I think about is in MMA terms, basically. I don't know. I'll do something and go, bro, I'm literally Robert Whitaker. I'm literally Charles Oliveira. Something like that. I'm so brain rotted with MMA that that's all I really talk about with my mates. And that's the main people that I really talk with outside of the bedtime thing. Like I get a lot of DMs and I try and reply to people and stuff like that. But really the only times that I'm not bedtime is when I'm with my training partners, like my main group of guys that I train with. So no, it's just complete brain rot of MMA. So I've never got Heath Ledger. I'm very flattered though. I appreciate it.
No, that's I was watching 10 Things I Hate About You the other day, and I don't know,
That's
you had
a
said
banger
something
movie,
during the call, and I just was like, how he's tapping in a little something.
Are we having a moment right now? Are we having like a 10 Things I Hate About You right now?
I may have to go ahead and like start sliding down the steps and start singing.
Hey,
I
boy.
love you, baby.
Shit, bro.
My man. But hey, it's been a great pleasure to have you on the program, my man. I know you have been looking forward to possibly having an MMA debut. Is there any chance I can get that announcement of when that possibly would be happening? I think you're going to have a lot of people that would want to be watching that. I know you've been busy in the Muay Thai though. When's the possibility we could see that?
Probably next year. I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm not putting a like rush on. You know, I've got heaps of time. I'm only 23, so I have time. I got time. So I've been training. I've been fighting for like 2 years now, like pretty solid, like consistently. So I think once I do the things I want to do with Muay Thai and I feel like, all right, I'm ready to do this. That's probably when it'll happen. So I'm not putting a time stamp on it. I want to go back to America and train like some more MMA again before I fight. I definitely know that because that leveled up my fucking wrestling so much, dude. Like that was just a big eye opener. Like, okay, I'm good. Like I can do jiu-jitsu, I can do Muay Thai, but MMA in itself is a different like set of moves and set of skills. Like especially the transition from being taken down to getting back up or like being taken down to using submissions and stuff like that. That was like, okay, I got to lock in on this. When I'm ready to do it, that's going to be 100% my focus, for sure. Hey, bro, you might see me in there fucking suplex and I don't know whoever I need to go train with, man. Whoever it needs to be. You know, if I have to go and get slumped by Dustin Poirier to learn something, I'll go do it. You know, like we can squash the beef. You know, it's all good, man.
2 years of training, man. And I personally, I mean, if any fans out there, if you have not got the chance to watch this guy fight, go ahead, head to one of those Bedtime FC streams, I believe you put them on, and go watch it, man. Because it's definitely entertaining. And that last matchup you had Muay Thai wise, I mean, you went out there and you had a very, very solid performance. Do you think like having those Muay Thai experiences and just overall, I mean, like how you said, you've been training for the last 2 years and mixed martial arts overall, do you feel like that just truly it makes you a smarter MMA fighter not only, but I feel a lot of these guys go into the amateurs and they only have jiu-jitsu, or they only have this one thing, and they're not really
Yeah.
going for that new formality of like how you are, where you're training every single thing and you're truly getting better as a martial artist.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people rush it. Like I feel like from what I see on the outside looking in, like I can't speak on fighting MMA. Like I can only speak on fighting Muay Thai and competing jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff like that. But because I've been training for like 5 years, like I've only been competing, like fighting for 2 years. So that's when I've been really, really a big difference in, am I eating right? Am I getting the right amount of sleep? Like all that stuff, like the things that go alongside the skills that you build up when you start out. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people really rush things. Like they just, as soon as they get an opportunity to fight MMA, they just take it, and they don't even know what they're doing yet. And I feel like one thing that I've always been is someone that's like I get kind of like an overthinker, or I'll be like, all right, I've got to make sure that I've got all my like P's and Q's like squared away. Like I've got to make sure that I know how to beat these guys in the striking, the grappling, the wrestling. You know what I mean? So I gotta lock in on all that. See what I'm saying, bro? I'm actually brain rotted, dude. But yeah, I'm somebody that's
I don't know if you ever known this, man, but I've actually gotten to be on the table with your guy Bilal over there for UFC
bro. You
Fight
gotta
Pass.
hook me up, man. We gotta get the Bilal bedtime fucking collab, dude.
It was me, Bilal, TJ DeSantis, and Boston Anik over there, UFC 298. Got to talk a little bit. He asked me some questions. Got a picture from Bilal signed before he was the champion. So I can much be like you and say, I was on that Bilal train before everybody else was, my
Yeah,
man.
bro. I've been on that train for like 2 years, man. People got mad at me because I picked Leon, like, because I thought Leon in the UK was going to get the decision. Like, you know, it's not a bad idea, but I should have picked Bilal because I've been on the Bilal train for years, bro. That's my guy.
Just speaking a little bit about some prospects that maybe if you're seeing them on the Australia regional scene, but also too on the UFC scene, that you just think, man, like, how is no one on this guy? I mean, I know there's the Montel Jacksons of the world. A lot of guys love him in bantamweight. Peyton Talbot's kind of he's been being picked up a lot, obviously, as a prospect. Pretty cool as well that he was able to fight over there at A1 Combat, and I got to see him a couple of times. But
I'm jealous of that, man. That's cool as, dude. That's
what
cool as.
What do you kind of make of the not only regional prospect scene, but maybe UFC prospect scene as well?
Oh man, I try and be dialed in with stuff like that, but sometimes it's really hard to like keep track of all these ones, because I'll watch a guy fight and go, dude, that guy's awesome. I'm gonna keep track of that, and then I'll just forget, and then they'll show back up, and I'll go, oh yeah, this guy, I know this guy. There's so many. I'm gonna forget so many, dude. Like I really enjoy, my favorite division is welterweight. Like I love welterweight division. I don't know why, it's just always been my absolute favorite. I hate that they're all blowing up, dude. Because like when Carlos Prates showed up in the UFC, I was like, this is my guy, dude. He's like a Muay Thai guy. He chain smokes cigarettes. He's so cool. I was like, this is my guy, dude. And now he's like, everyone knows him. Like everyone loves him. All those Fighting Nerds guys are so good, dude. But yeah, Peyton Talbot's another one I really believe in. I think he will end up as champion. I'm gonna call that now. Like I think he will end up as champion. He's just got that thing that you can see on a prospect where you just go, damn, like that guy's got something going on. But yeah, like in terms of Australia, I really like Quillen. Like he's really, really cool. I love the way that he's tall, but he doesn't fight like a big, tall, lanky guy. Like he'll try and get on the inside. I'm guilty of that myself. I think it's really cool. So he's one I really enjoy watching from Contender Series. He's really good. He's really good.
And it just seems like how we're going to continue to see these guys come out of that Australia area, because it just seems like not only the culture has picked up so much on the fighting, but also just the, like how we were saying, the promotions, man, like they're just pumping out. Like Cody Haddon was an insane grab, but then you also had Aaron Tula. I'm pretty sure he's going to also be getting the call. But it's just like how you said, in Quinlan, so many guys that I feel are able to just get in that UFC scene. And I think honestly, like, it's going to, in a couple of years, we really truly will see a new rise of athletes from Australia. We're thinking now with the Volk and all that, like, oh yeah, we've seen, everyone thinks you see the Mexico rise, but I truly think that they're going to continue to have a very steady presence in this MMA field. But thank you so much for your time today, Mr. Bedtime MMA over there in the land down under over there in Australia. Michael Hernandez of MLH Media, and we are going to be signing out over here for the MLH Uncensored episode 1.
If you have made it to this point in the video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what your favorite part of this new platform is, this new experience, and please let me know of what we can do to possibly make this better and what we can do to improve upon it. Always looking for suggestions, always looking for guests that you possibly would want to be seen on the platform moving forward. So please let me know anything that I can do to go ahead and improve it moving forward. I appreciate your time so much. I appreciate all the shares, all the love. You guys have no idea how much that means to me. Not only how much it means to me, but how much it goes forward in moving the videos and getting it into the algorithm and really just getting my name out there. It truly, truly does mean a lot. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the support that you have shown on the videos and shown to me as well. You have changed my lives in more ways that you guys can imagine. And the crazy part is we're still not done yet. We still got a whole lot of things that I want to accomplish in this space. And let me just tell you, these tires still got a whole lot of tread on them. So we will be seeing you here all very shortly. Michael Hernandez, MLH Media. MLH Media Uncensored, episode 1 now in the books. Let's go.